Hello everyone. So again I am with third lecture in this topic, control using programmable logic controllers. So today we are going to see different options provided by or provided in the PLC. So which will give the extra options to address different input output conditions, or these options will help you to solve the problems with the help of ladder logic with more facilities. So in this, first we will see latching. So latching is what there are situations to hold an output energized even when the input ends, that I'm going to tell you with this, with the help of this diagram. Other normal switches work on by pressing it continuously on or off. Normally we know that this latching operation is using for making one of the application on or off. So for that purpose we just press a button for a moment and we release it. Then also after releasing that start button, our application is goes on running. So that is what the latching operation. So first sentence is said that there are situations to hold an output energized even when the input ends. When we release the start button by pressing it momentarily, then also output is energizing or we are getting output. That is what the latching action in the PLC. So these latch contacts from form an OR logic gate. Yesterday we have seen different type of the gates. So in that, OR logic gate is the principle behind this latching operation. So what is important in the OR logic gate? At least one input should get to the output, then and then only output will energize. So that is the OR logic gate. The only way to release the output is by operating the normally closed contact B. So here you can see contact B, it should be in closed condition. So latching is widely used with start ups so that the initial switch on of an application becomes latched on. The application of this latching is motor. Now just consider a motor. For starting a motor, what we used to do, we just press start button for a moment. So once we will press that button, that energize this input A, and if we release that button, then there will not be any contact, or this input A will become again uh, contactless. So it will become open contact, there will not be any flow from this A input. But in that moment when we used to press this button A, the another flow of line or another output will pass from this line and it will reach to the input B, from this to this, and then your output will goes on running. So it means even you are releasing this input A, the rung will work like this output, this input B, and then final output. So like this it happens when we press the start button in the motor and we are releasing, then also our motor is goes on running up till when we are not pressing the input B or stop button. So this input B is what it works for a stop button. If you press the stop button, means we are releasing this input B contact, then this motor will goes on stop. So this latching is very important, and for many application, in many applications they are using in the industry. So best application day to day life is what? Motoring action. So this what about the latching. Now next is what? Internal relays. Now normally we know the external relay, as we have seen in the actuator bit. It is just what a one coil and one contact. Once there will be a contact, that coil will goes on energizing, and there will be a contact between the two lines of two lines for that particular application, and that relays goes on working. So here, what is internal relay? The term internal relay, auxiliary relay, or markers is used for what can be considered as an internal relay in the PLC. So all these names, internal relay, auxiliary relay, or marker, they are the different names in the for the internal relay in the PLC. Internal relay are used when there are programs with multiple input output conditions. If in the program or in the complex program there will be definitely number of inputs, number of outputs, so at that time this internal relays play very important role. Another use of it is for the starting of multiple outputs. As I told you, it works for the multiple inputs and outputs. Used for resetting the latch. This is what the elements in the latch, as in the earlier slide we have seen latching operation, momentary starting of the switch, that is what the latching. So for resetting of latch also we can use these internal relays. So another important thing is that we can use internal relay at one rung, and you can utilize its status whether it is in on or off in the another rung, and through this we can operate another output. So that is extra benefit or another benefit of this internal relay. We can operate it one rung and we can utilize in the another rung. This IR activated, suppose here this IR 1 is activated, so this status we can carry in this rung, we will give the supply, and like this we can activate the output 1. So its example is what automatic lifting of a barrier is the example of this internal relay. So just try to understand this diagram as a internal automatic barrier, automatic lifting barrier. So input 1 and input 3 gives the or indicates the there is a person around the barrier and he want to cross that barrier. So input 1, suppose it is left side of the barrier, input 3 is suppose right side of the barrier. So suppose there is a detect that there is a person towards the left side, this input 1 will act. Okay, so there will be one input. For input 2, it will check whether that barrier is closed or it is in open condition. So these two inputs will be taken into the rung, and this internal relay goes on energizing or goes on activating. So this internal relay we will use in another rung, as I already told you use of this internal relay. So in this rung, IR1 is activated with the help of input 1, input 2. Need to check what is this input 4. So this input 4 again it is checking whether that barrier is closed or it is open. Suppose the case is the barrier is closed, so this input 4 is activated, input 1 is already activated from here. So input 1, input 4 it is activated, and it will give the signal to output 1. So what is this output 1? Output 1 stands for the motor, which will help or which will lift the barrier, because there is a person and he need to cross the barrier. So like this internal relays work. And suppose just take another condition, if there is a barrier is open. Okay, so again this input 4 will cross check if that barrier is open. So again this input 4 activate, and it will send the signal this output 1. So do not start the motor. It means by the natural weight gravitational force that barrier will come down. So this input 4 is working for both the conditions, barrier is closed or barrier is open. So like this is what internal relay option. Okay, next concept in the PLC, that is what jump and call. So this is the condition in the jump and call. If some condition occur, perform some instructions, else perform some other instructions. So its application is what? application is to keep temperature under 60 degree Celsius. Okay. So for maintaining a temperature, such kind of jump and call is activating. Suppose temperature, if we want to maintain a 60 degree temperature in the room, if the temperature occurs, then we have to go for the reducing the temperature, or we have to start AC effect, like that. And if temperature goes on below, suppose 10 degree Celsius, then we have to go for the heating effect, like that it is operating. Just try to see this ladder diagram for the jump and call. So this is what jump location in the first rung. So once it will there, suppose there will be input from input 1, jump is activated. It will check the condition. If that temperature or if that condition within that range, then it will go for another rung, perform that operation. It will go for third rung, it will perform operation, and then finally reach here. If it operates, or if it will have the temperature above 60 degree Celsius, directly it will jump from this location to rung 4. It will neglect this rung 2 and rung 3, and whatever the operation or options given in the rung 4, that is going to be performed by this PLC. So that is what jump and call. You can think about the example like overweight in the lift. Suppose the lift limit is what, 1 ton. So if it is 1 ton, it will be sensed over here. If it is below the 1 ton, then there will be a closing of the door, starting of motor, and it goes on working. If the weight of the weight in the lift, it is above 1 tonnage, so this will take jump action, and it will move to the jump rung 4, and it will start sound, or it will start alarming, that is weight is overweight in the lift. So like this it works. So it's nothing but jump and call. Now next is again timers and counters. Up till now whatever we have seen, it is working. If there is input at this position, you will get directly output within fraction of second. But some cases are there, we need to have input, but we don't want a output at that moment, we want after some time. Its best example is our TV remote. In that option used to be there, we can set that TV in the remote with the help of remote sleep mode after 20 minutes, after 30 minutes. So whatever the that result will get after 20 minutes or 30 minutes, like that the situation finds in the PLCs also. So for that purpose these timers and counters using. So out of that, first we will see what is this timer. In many control tasks there is a need to be control time based examples is very important, or addressing point in the PLC. So for that purpose timers are using. For example, a motor or pump might need to be controlled or to operate for a particular interval time. Suppose there is a in tank there is a less water after 5 minutes, every 5 minutes, because there is a pumping of that motor for the particular application. So if that motor or tank it is operated with the PLC, so after 5 minutes there will be automatically starting of motor, and that tank will be fulfilled up to desired level. Like this the timer works in the PLC. PLC thus have timers as built-in device. Again it is inbuilt device into the PLC, it is not external device, just like internal relays. Timers count fractions of seconds or seconds using the internal CPU clock. So there is a clock in the PLC, according to that these timers will be set, and it is using a 128 megahertz frequency. It is based on the frequency as we have seen in the first lecture. Typically timers work for 10 microseconds, 100 microseconds, 1 second, 10 second, and 100 second. And if you want use more time, except all these values, we can set a number of intervals or sets, 5 set of 100 seconds, 5 set of 100 microseconds, like that we can set the time, and depending upon that this timer goes onward. So how it exactly work? Once there will be a time achieved by suppose by this, there will be input in this timer goes on activating. This timer, suppose it is set for 100 microsecond, so it will wait for 100 microsecond, and after microsecond, as it got the supply from this input A, after 100 microsecond this output will energize. So that is what the time delay. So either you can use there are two ways to show this timer. You can use over here, you can utilize in another rung, or you can use in between the rung, in between input and output. So these are the different positions to use a timer. Now there are different types of the timers. First is on delay timer, off delay timer, or pulse timer. So just I will tell what is on delay. So on delay is what? On delay is nothing but there is a input to the timer output, but the output is not activated. So you can see this is what a delay period. Input is energized, but still there is a delay for the activation of the output. So that is what on delay timer. It is indicated with T on in the problem or in the answers of ladder diagram. Then another is what? Off delay timer, means there is a input stopped, then also your output is activated for some of time. So that is what delay for the timer output. Okay, even input stop, then also your output is energized for some time. That is the delay for delay of timer, of delay timer. And third one is pulse timer. Pulse timer, it works for a specific period of time, as we set into the ladder diagram. Now you can see these are the on delay timer structure, as we have seen over here, like this. So in stands for input, Q stands for output, PT is what? Preset value, ET is what? Elapsed time. So this is on delay, this is off delay, and this is pulse timer. These are the formats or standard formats we can use, like these formats into the PLC program. So this is about the timers. Next is counters. Now this counter is again very important. Suppose the PLC application is installing for a or final output, suppose we want count the elements, and that is what the final output we required from the PLC. So over that counters are using. So for example, parts passing on the conveyor, we have to measure revolution of shafts, then person passing through a door. Suppose limited, how it works? Suppose there is a suppose passing of conveyor, suppose we set a value as a counter 100. So this PLC will measure 100 parts on the conveyor, and the further switch will be activated, and that activated switch will give input to the further output over located here. Suppose we can say 100% will pass from the door, then this counter will act and it will close this switch. So there will be flow in this rung, and the output over here, it was close the door. So that will be the output over here, and after passing 100% from the door will be closed. Like this counter works. So again, there are two types of the counter. One is up counter and another is down counter. So what is up counter? Up counter is nothing but we can measure the preset value. Suppose we have fixed preset value as a 20, so that PLC will measure that count from 0 to preset value. 0 to preset value, it becomes up counter. And if it is measuring in reverse direction from preset value to 0, then like for example 20 to 0, that is what down counter. And if the PLC measure 0 to 20, it will be up counter. Normally in the PLCs, down counter is majorly using. So this is what a structure to show a counter into the ladder diagram. You can see here, this is a counter section, input 2, input 1, and this is what output. So this is about the counter. Now another bit is sequencing. The PLC sequencer instruction is an output instruction. Suppose there are number of inputs and output, and whatever the output we require from that particular application in a sequence. So that is what, suppose in a lobby we need to close a lights, so that lights should be closed in one by one, light number 1, light number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. That is what the sequencing. So for that purpose, sequencing is very important. So it works for on off pattern of outputs. Sequencer programming over the conventional programs gives a large saving of memory, 20 words to 100 words. Suppose we will write a normal program to achieve something, it will require 100 words, but if we use this sequencing technique in the PLC programming, ladder programming, it requires only 20 words. It will save the memory. Control output device sequentially, it controls output sequentially, then and then only we can get the sequence. Output stored on memory and used in sequence. So this is, everything is stored in the memory and it used to be in the sequence. Repeating the sequence until a stop command is initiated. This goes on working in a sequence until stop command is not until stop command is initiated. Cylinder operating is sequence in different applications. You might be knowing, suppose in the industry different compressors are working, so for that different cylinders are using, compression cylinders are using. So working of that particular cylinders in a sequence, we need to use this sequencing operation with the help of PLC. So what kind of task it used to do? Sequence the start of option, the sequencing steps in the programming, sequence steps transition conditions. Small subroutine programs used to be there, so in that transition conditions need to be sequenced. The output that initiate a action, and finally it is identical, the sequence is identical for the output control which will happen in the sequence. So that is what sequencing. Now another is what shift register and data handling. Now what is shift register? Shift is what shifting from one place to another place, or in PLC we can say shifting from one address to the another address. And a register, it stands for the storing the data. So what is the shift register? We have to shift store the data from one address to another address. So that is what a shift register. So application like calculator, computers and data processing system, this shift register works. So it is necessary to store a status of event that has previously passed. The shift register is a number of internal relay grouped together which allow stored bits to be shifted from one relay to another. Normally we know 8-bit microprocessor, 16-bit microprocessor or 32-bit microprocessor. You can see here, this is what internal relay with 8-bit. So 1 to 8 is what locations, addresses for this 8-bit, and it is having 10111010 like that. This is what on off or high low status in this 8-bit relay. Now suppose there will be a insertion of 0 input at the first place. So what is important, this shift register goes on changing every location. So this 1 will move instead of this 1, this 0 will move on this place, one place, this 1 will move on this 1, this 1 will move on this 0, and like that. And the final 0 is what, it will overflow into the shift register. So like this you can change the status of this internal relay for these 8 locations. So that is a function of shift register. We have to shift the data into the addresses. Now next is data handling. So normally the timer counters and individual internal relays are also concerned with the handling of individual bits. That is what single on off bit is what, either it is in form binary code 0 or 1. If there is 1, it is in on condition. single signal on condition. If it is 0, then signal is in off condition, like that. So data handling is what? Shift register involve a number of bits with a group of internal array. So shift register, what is doing? It is collecting 8 bit and it forms a one word or one byte, we can say 1 byte. So, and why it is important? What is the exact purpose of data handling? When a sensor supplies a analog digital which converted to 8 bit word before becoming input to the PLC. So for this data conversion or data in interfacing digital to binary or binary to digital, this data handling is important in the system. So data handling consists of a following operations. There are some more operations by this data handling. First is moving or transferring numeric information stored in one memory word location to another word in different location. That is what moving of data. Another is comparing of values greater than, equal to, less than, or equal to, like that. Carrying out simple arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Conversion of data into binary format, that we have seen already. Now first type of data handling is what? Data movement. You can see this diagram. Here is input 1. Once it will activate, there will be supply to this data movement. MOV stands for the movement operation. S is what? Store address, source address, and D is for the destination address. So with the help of this move operation, we can move the data from source address to the destination address. So this is what the data movement in the data handling. Another characteristic of this data handling is what? Data comparison. You have to compare the data. This is the symbol for the comparison. Source address, destination address, like that. From both the place, from source and destination, this comparator will work, which value is greater than, or like that. Suppose there is application, alarm might be required to be sounded if a sensor indicates a temperature above 80 degrees Celsius. Suppose this 80 degrees Celsius is what? Destination, and until it should alarm until 70 degree. So 70 degree is what? Source. So if the temperature is between 70 to 80, it will be compared by this comparator, and this give the output as like alarm should be there, alarm sounding should be there. So like this data comparison works. Now third point is from the data handling is arithmetic operations. Normally PLC is giving operations like addition and subtraction, but if we require multiplication or subtraction, you need to use such kind of format. Here in this format, addition is used. You can use over there other arithmetic operations also. This input 1, input 2, output 1, this is what? Output. At this end you will get the output, and this is what? Input end. So addition will be takes place. And another is what? Code conversion. Code conversion is what? BCD and BIN. BIN stands for binary, BCD stands for the binary decimal, binary coded decimal. So normally PLC required binary, and suppose whatever the input getting from the sensor, it is in the digital format, that need to be converted into the binary. So these two options will work for the data conversion from binary to binary coded decimal, or BCD to binary. So this is the purpose of data handling. So this is the another bit, that is top manufacturer of a PLC. Before this, just I want to say that whatever the options we have seen up till now, that is latching is there, internal release is there, timer counters, and this data handling or shift register, these operations or these concepts plays very important role when we are designing a PLC, because these options gives more flexibility to address more complexity, more input and output possibilities. Okay, so top manufacturers are there. ABB is there, Allen Bradley, Siemens, Mitsubishi, Honeywell, Wireless Services, Hitachi, General Electric, Modicom. All these are the top manufacturers. They are preparing the PLC, they are designing the PLC, and they are preparing the PLCs, and they are selling these PLCs to the different industry to perform a task. So this tends or this extends to the automation for that particular industry. Again, here we have mentioned some for which purpose that particular company is famous, like Allen Bradley safety certified controllers, they're preparing safety certified controllers, like Mitsubishi energy saving process remote monitoring, like this. Delta is there, industrial automation, building automation, for that Delta they are preparing the PLCs. So these are the top manufacturers of the PLC. Then last bit from this topic is PLC versus PC based. PLC is what? Programmable logic control, and PC is what? Personal computers. So which one is better, or which is having which type of characteristics that we have seen? If we talk about the price per function, PLC system it is having low price, computer system it is high. Physical size it is very compact, it is fairly compact. Operating speed it is fast, it is fairly fast. Noise immunity it is good, it is quiet. Installation simple to program and install. Programming extremely time consuming. Capable of complicated operations, yes. Again, this is also yes. Ease of changing functions, very simple, quite simple. Ease of maintenance, it is good, need to be check few standard cards, but it's poor. Several custom boards we have to check, like we can say it is motherboard. So this was the comparison about PLC and PC based system. So I hope you enjoyed this session, because this video lecture is a last video lecture on this theory bits of this PLC topic. So it, after all these 3 video lectures, there is important that solving the ladder problems. So that again that will be addressed for from by one more video lecture. So in that I will cover all the ladder problems which will address all these theoretical concepts. So I hope you are enjoying this video lecture. So thank you for listening. Thank you very much.